Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Monday, December 2nd. We are back. We got 4 games to go over, so it should be a quick one. We will dive right in. I am your host, Tyler Wiemann, at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and on Twitter. Now come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all, one low price. Now, let's just jump right in. Want to make this one quick because we got a ton of content out there today and there's only so much time of the day. So, highest owned, we got Terry Rozier, 43% owned. There's no Jimmy B. Makes sense that Miami is going to have some ownership, and Scary Terry's a good one. He has been coming off the bench the last few games, but getting decent run, and we know there's a giant ceiling there. His points per minute should go up a little bit off the bench and without Jimmy B. So definitely very interested in Scary Terry. Also, Mike Conley, 4,800, 38% owned. The big here thing for me is his minutes have crept up. Over the last 5, 31 minutes per game. Over the last 20, it's 27. He has several games of 30-plus minutes over the last 5. It's really the last 4 where he went 37, 30, 32, 33. I think they're now trying to keep him in that 30 to 32 range unless something happens in the game that pushes him a little further. But that's good news for his fantasy outlook. He's a solid per minute guy, 0.87, 0.91 over the last 20 games, and 30 minutes, 4,800. Makes a lot of sense to want to go there versus a Lakers team that's not super good versus the point guard. All right, pivot time, 7,400 Tyler Hero. It's no Jimmy Butler. Tyler Hero is in the starting lineup, and he is probably going to have a huge usage. He has some giant ceiling games without Jimmy B in the past as well. Makes a lot of sense to want to go to Hero. And we have some value on this slate, so we're going to have to spend some money elsewhere. I am not scared to go to a slightly higher-priced Hero, or at least higher priced than he should be, for the upside that it unlocks at low ownership. Also, Ayo Dosunmu, don't mind going here. He's 5,500. He's shown a 40-point ceiling as a starter, but realistically, he's more of a 5X guy and just a little bit of a salary saver than a ceiling spot. That is my only worry with using him, but at low ownership, you can hope he has one of those ceiling games versus a Nets team that's meh and missing some pieces. Draftkings point guard, high-owned Keon Johnson. He is somebody we're about to talk to for shooting guard on FanDuel. But Keon Johnson, last 2 games, 28 and 32 minutes. Those minutes should be solid. I don't believe Cam Thomas is going to play. They're missing Zaire Williams. They're missing Ben Simmons. They're missing a couple guys, Dorian Finney-Smith. And with all of that, he should get extra minutes. 3,500 is too cheap if he's going to be on the court 28-plus minutes. We have him projected for 28 minutes as it is. Dennis Schroeder, 7,100. I'm fine to go here if you want. There's no Cam Thomas, so he should get some extra usage, and he's been a 1.13 fantasy per minute guy over the last 5 without Thomas out there. So definitely a bit interesting going that way. Don't mind it. Tyler Hero, we talked about. Let's move it to shooting guard on FanDuel. We got Ant Edwards, 9K, 47% owned. I'm fine to go here because there is that 50, 60-point ceiling. The dude is extremely good. Went for 50 a couple times versus the Lakers last year. 35 in the matchup this year so far. He's well rested, gonna play big time minutes versus the Lakers. I'm fine to get a little Ant in my lineups. Keon Johnson definitely in for. Terry Rozier, we talked about. Hero, we talked about. Ayo, we talked about. Moving it on over to the DraftKings shooting guard. Keon, Dennis Schroeder, Peyton Pritchard. All right. Peyton Pritchard's going to play a lot. And with that, I think 5,500 is a steal for him. I definitely would be looking at him. The situation is Holiday is out. Horford is out. Porzingis is out. Then Jaylen Brown missed last game. Jason Tatum, and he's questionable this game. Jason Tatum's questionable, and Derek White is questionable. There's going to be minutes for Pritchard tonight, and he's been crushing, so don't mind going there whatsoever. His price is elevated, but you're going to have to play somebody in Boston, and it may change throughout the day with the injury news, but that's the situation we know right now. If Brown plays, I definitely would be interested in him as well, as no Porzingis, no Drew, just helps him. And small forward on FanDuel, Ant Edwards, Cameron Johnson. I think Cam Johnson's in a great spot. There's no Cam Thomas, so that ceiling is elevated a little bit. The median projection's elevated a little bit, and it's versus a team that's not very good in the Bulls with a 233 game total. Somebody from this Nets team is going to have to score, and Cam Johnson is one of those primary scorers on that team, especially of the guys left. Duncan Robinson, 4,300. A little bit interesting. It just really depends if he's hot or not. If his three's going in, then 4,300 is a steal. If the three's not going in, then he's just not going to hit it for you. Fine going elsewhere. If Jaquez plays some extra minutes, he becomes very interesting, but it's a big-time question mark at this point in the day, maybe later in the day. 9,400 for LeBron James versus the Timberwolves. I don't love this spot for LeBron, but it's hard to argue against wanting to play him a little bit. Last year, 48 and 50 versus him. He's probably a safer bet than Ant at similar price. But I would say Ant, he's a safer bet than Ant, essentially. So if you want 9,400 or 9K Ant, LeBron is the safer one if you have the extra 400. I do kind of prefer Ant in the one on the head-to-head matchup, just because I do believe, 60 is more likely out of him in this spot. But don't mind either of those guys. Jaylen Brown, we talked about. Sam Hauser is going to pick up some extra minutes, but his price isn't elevated yet. He played 36 minutes last game. We got to watch injury news here. If Jaylen Brown is out, he's going to play big time, and he will be extremely interesting, probably high owned as well. And small forward on DraftKings, Trey Murphy, 6,200. Pelicans are another team that's without a bunch of people. Or a bunch of guys are questionable. So we need to watch injuries here. But this Pelicans team has been pretty bad, and Murphy is one of the lone bright spots that can really score the basketball against a Hawks team that's not great defensively, and a high tempo, high pace, high game total spot. Murphy makes some sense. Jaylen Brown, Jaquez, we talked about, and moving it over to power forward. Julius Randle is going to be one of my highest owned players, 7,100. I think he's super safe to be around 40, and we've seen 50-point ceilings out of him for Minnesota, and if you go back to last year's, we've seen 60-point ceilings out of him. So very interested in some Julius Randle. Trenton Watford. This is a play that I've been on for the last week or two. The problem is the Nets just don't like him. He just has not been playing minutes. 0.92 fantasy point per minute coming off the bench, 24 minutes. Makes some sense to want to play him. If for some reason he gets extra minutes, I love him. But I don't like him at this ownership of which we're projecting him. I just don't think the ceiling is there in the 20 to 22-ish minutes, 24. He needs to play a little bit more to really give you a big-time ceiling. Anthony Davis, 11.2K. I love this spot versus the Timberwolves. He went for 72 versus them earlier in the season. Absolutely dismantled them last year, going for 92 and 81. And then 55, I think Davis is the spot I like the most on this slate with ownership adjusted, meaning low owned play. Anthony Davis is just a screaming deal with giant ceiling. So I definitely like Anthony Davis, that is. AD. Power forward on DK, Watford Murphy, Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson just continually gets it done game in and game out. 50-point ceiling at 8,200 is pretty much all I really need to say. In a pace-up spot, that's when he really does good. Don't mind that almost 230 game total. And Jalen Johnson's actually in a pace-down spot. I'm just saying overall pace of the game is high, which all Hawks games are. Watford, 39% owned. He is going too high owned for me. Bam Adebayo, 8,400. He is going to have huge usage. And in these games where guys are out and he's playing, he does have that 60-point type ceiling. Don't mind having him in this spot. There's no Porzingis, no Horford on the other side. That interior D for the Celtics is not going to be as good. Quinta could start, which would limit Adebayo a little bit, but Quinta's not going to play a ton of minutes. There's going to be plenty of time for Adebayo to get his. Nikola Vucevic is one of my favorites on this slate. I mean, guy's been like mid-40s or 50s half the games this year. Do not mind going to him in a great spot versus the Nets. The Nets also are without some interior guys. Simmons is out. Claxton has been limited all season minute-wise, and after him, they aren't that big. So I think Vooch makes some sense. And then AD we have talked about. And on to center on DraftKings. Naz Reid at 4,700 is somebody that's absolutely interesting. He crushed the Lakers last year, went for 56, went for 45, went for 37 off the bench. Only 19 earlier this year, but I think there's a solid ceiling there at 4,700. He can definitely save you some money and give you a ceiling at slightly lower ownership. All right, guys, that will do it for us today. Quick 4-gamer. We'll be back tomorrow with a big one, and I will see you guys then. Peace!